The Book of the Mandalorian. Oh wait, that's not it. The Book of Luke Skywalker. No, that's not it either. The Book of Grogu. The Book of Boba Fett, featuring episodes from The Mandalorian Season 3. This new Disney Plus series has two major storylines, one following Boba Fett immediately after The Mandalorian Season 2, as he's now the ruler of Jabba's palace and has to fend off the Pike Syndicate, whereas the second storyline is a series of flashbacks following Boba Fett after Return of the Jedi, where he escaped the Sarlacc pit and developed a friendship with the Tusken Raiders. Oh, and unexpectedly, we get a lot of Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett. A few things I want to go over here. First and foremost, if you have not seen the Book of Boba Fett yet, I will be going over spoilers, so go watch the series first, then come back and watch my full in-depth review of the series. Secondly, I realized I like filming in this room over my other set. There's just more space, it looks better, except the other thing I have to say is that I by mistakenly stepped on my other light, and now I only have one light right in front of me. The other light is out of commission at the moment, so that's why this lighting looks so crappy. There's a shadow behind me. I apologize for that, but in my next video, it'll be fixed. Anyway, back to the Book of Boba Fett, if you really want to call it that. What do I think about this series? How does it compare to The Mandalorian? I was not the biggest fan of this show for the first 4 episodes, except for episode 2. The other 3 were just okay. Then all of a sudden, we get thrown into this Mandalorian Season 2.5 storyline out of the blue. And before I knew it, it felt like we were watching The Mandalorian Season 3 and not The Book of Boba Fett, which I had mixed feelings about. It kind of annoyed me at first that they focus a majority of 2 episodes on The Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker, Grogu, that storyline continuing from The Mandalorian Season 2, when this is a Boba Fett show. It should be all about Boba Fett. When we had The Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2, there were no episodes dedicated solely to Boba Fett. He was in the show, but there was not a single episode where he was the only main character in it and Mandalorian was absent. It makes me wonder now, in The Mandalorian Season 3, will we have episodes solely dedicated to the Boba Fett storyline, or will they just focus only on Mandalorian and say, screw Boba Fett, we don't care about him nearly as much as these newer characters? However, I didn't mind that they focused on the Mandalorian story because I love The Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2. Season 2 in particular is one of my all-time favorite seasons of any TV show in history. It was fan service all around. And like I said, the first 4 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett were nothing to write home about. I wasn't that interested. At one point, I was really bored during episodes 3 and 4, and I kind of wanted to turn the show off. I wasn't that invested. So what were the highlights of the Book of Boba Fett featuring The Mandalorian Season 3? Yes, I'm going to continue calling it that. Well, let's go through episode by episode. Episode 1's highlight was the Sarlacc pit, except I would have preferred the story from Legends, and now it's no longer canon, unfortunately. Everything else about this first episode was bland. I didn't really care about anything going on. Episode 2 of Season 1 is probably either my favorite or second favorite of this first season. The highlight of that episode was the train sequence. As a matter of fact, every flashback was a highlight in this show. There wasn't anything in the present day storyline with Boba Fett that was nearly as interesting as everything going on in flashbacks between Boba and the Tusken Raiders. That stuff was emotional as ever, but you know what was not emotionally investing? Was episode 3. This was easily the most disposable and forgettable episode of the first season. I didn't care about the cyborgs or their Power Ranger looking speeders. The only episode I consider straight up bad in Season 1, but episode 4 kind of got us back on track. I thought the journey between Boba and Shan was very entertaining. One of the most exciting sequences takes place in this episode where Boba has to reclaim name is Slave 1. And it was cool to finally see the connection between this episode and The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 5, where Shan was left for dead, but somebody comes to rescue her. We only see that character's feet, though. A lot of people were speculating that it would be Boba Fett, and what do you know? It actually was Boba Fett. A lot of people also say that Episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett is one of the best episodes out of any Star Wars show. And personally, I think Episode 5 is a tad bit overrated. I love the Ring City and how it pays homage to the Phantom Menace, as well as the duel for the Darksaber, but it's a slower paced episode and doesn't develop the story as much. On the other hand, Episode 6 is tied for my favorite along with Episode 2. This was the episode that actually felt like The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. I'm surprised that we got any Mandalorian, but to get as much of him as we do in this show, plus Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, and Grogu, is astonishing. That was something I never once expected to see in this show. We see all of those characters in Episode 6, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, coming back to play him again after playing him in not only the sequel trilogy, but in The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 8. And now, with all the de-aging technology and the body doubles, they have done a fantastic job at making this version of Luke look exactly like Mark Hamill from 1983. It looks so realistic. Wow, I am still blown away every single time I look at that face. Plus, we have the return of Timothy Oliphant's character, Vanth, who we last saw in Season 2, Episode 1. I can never get enough of that character, and it makes me really want to watch Justified. But quite possibly my favorite scene in this series thus far was seeing the live-action debut of Cad Bane, one of my favorite characters from the Clone Wars TV show. That was awesome, and I loved the face-off scene between Bane and Vanth. At first, I thought that Vanth might actually have died in this episode, but no, luckily, he is still alive. Please do not kill one of my favorite characters in this franchise. As for Episode 7, this was an action-packed episode, exactly what I expected it to be, and I can't really complain about it. It's easily the most epic of any episodes that were in this season, but it's probably not my favorite. I would still give that to either Episode 2 or Episode 6. Look, the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 is a good time. I enjoyed myself during some episodes. There were a few others that I didn't find as interesting, and if I skipped them over entirely, it probably would not have changed my viewing experience. If it were up to me, I would have made the show linear as opposed to having it go back and forth between the flashbacks and present day. That made the show feel really jumpy and messy. For the most part, I love the stuff after Return of the Jedi. Seeing him come out of the Sarlacc pit was something I never thought I'd see in live action. I'm curious too if that Boba Fett movie never got canceled. Remember that thing that was supposed to come out in like 2020 but got canceled, and they just stuck to only Rogue One and Solo for the anthology movies? Yeah, that movie. I'm wondering if they would have stuck to the same storyline that we saw in the show instead of maybe doing something else. And besides the stupid Power Ranger cyborg people, I think it would have been a better option had they let Boba keep his helmet on and given him more violent things to do. He doesn't really do that much in the show until the final episode. We only see him kill maybe a couple of people before then, and that's like in the flashbacks only. They don't do much with him in the present day, which disappointed me. This is Boba Fett, one of the most dangerous bounty hunters in all of Star Wars, and for some reason they chose to make him more kind and good-hearted. I don't really see how that works for a Boba Fett TV show. I understand why they made his character the way they did in this show, because there is character development after his encounter with the Tusken Raiders, but this is a Boba Fett TV show. I wanted to see Boba Fett do Boba Fett things, and it never really happens until the last episode. We saw some of it in The Mandalorian Season 2, but not really in this show. Leave The Mandalorian out of the next season, make it all about Boba Fett, Fett, let him keep his helmet on, keep his dialogue to a minimum, and let him do some cold-blooded things. That's ultimately how you'll fix Season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. Whether or not Disney will listen to fans' complaints is anyone's guess, but that's exactly how they're going to fix the problem. I'm going to give the Book of Boba Fett Season 1, featuring The Mandalorian Season 3, a B. Of course though, guys, I want to hear all of your thoughts. Did you enjoy the Book of Boba Fett Season 1, or are you like me and think they could have improved many things in the script with this show? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, as always, if you're new to my channel, click that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.